Welcome everybody to Season 6 of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain. 8 events, 16 races, and it all begins here at Donington Park, which is a circuit that always generates good racing, and it's the ideal circuit for a 4-litre Porsche 911 GT3 Cup. David Addison and Paul Smith back for another season, and we're also looking forward to seeing this year, Paul, whether anybody is going to be able to dislodge Sebastian Job. 4 times a champion, and he is very much the benchmark driver. The championship starts here at Donington. It goes to Snetterton and Alton Park, Silverstone, then Barcelona as our away event, if you like, outside of the UK. Thruxton, Donington and Brands Hatch is going to complete the season. And as far as the schedule is concerned, although we've shifted from a Sunday to a Wednesday evening, it's still qualifying and then 2 races to look forward to. Right, apologies, Paul. This man, Job, can anybody stop him?
Well, I think people will give it a really good go, but it's such a difficult task with Sebastian just being so adept in this Porsche 911 GT3 Cup car. He's the most, I'm going to steal an American phrase, he's the winningest driver in the series. I don't like the word winningest, but there you go. But certainly he's got the talent there. We've seen what he can do in this championship, but I think he's got some stern challenges ahead of him here this season.
Well, he comes into this as, you're quite right, the most winning driver. 39 wins out of 79 races. Well, you don't have to be wonderful at maths to work out that if he wins the next one, 40 out of 80, he will have won exactly 50% of Carrera Cup GB esports competitions. However, first up, we've got to get through qualifying. And right now, number one, Sebastian Job rather stuck in traffic. Sun is shining, track is dry. Qualifying only 10 minutes, of course, so the pressure's on here, Paul.
Yeah, and the drivers need to get the tyres into a working window as well, so that they're having to push because they've not got long to set that qualifying time. But on the same front, they also want to get the tyres into the ideal window to work in and get that spot on time, because, of course, you're carrying that fuel for the 10 minutes. You want to try and get the tyres absolutely perfect towards the end when you've got as least fuel as possible.
And also, you've got to be mindful of track position, haven't you? Because when the flag goes out at the end of 10 minutes, that's it. Session stops. It's not 10 minutes plus the lap you're on.
Yes. So it's crucial getting that timing right, of getting across the timing line to start your last lap. If you get it wrong, and we're looking at about a 64-65 second lap around here. If you get it wrong by even just half a second, that's it. You rise off that lap.
Now, Peter Berryman, you're looking at here, the Northern Irish driver who was very, very rapid last year. Not necessarily in terms of pole positions, but he did seem to set the fastest lap in a good number of races. He's very experienced, he's very rapid, as I say, so he's another driver to factor in what we've got as a 29-car entry. Really impressive. Split as ever between Pro and Am. This qualifying session, of course, doesn't only set the grid for race one, it also will offer you a championship leader, because in each of the two classes there are 2 points to the driver who sets pole position.
And we've seen in the past just how crucial those points are as well, those bonus points to getting that pole position. So yeah, it can have huge championship connotations. Interesting, Pete Berryman, it's the first time I've seen him not in Apex Racing colours. Of course, the Apex Racing team not competing in the esports side of things anymore, so he's off to Drago Racing now. Is Peter. Jamie Fluke, who's back to the series as well. He's running a self-livery. It's not necessarily with a team that I know of yet, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. So yeah, it's interesting to see how drivers who were former teammates, Leo Gariboli, another one, used to be Apex Racing team, how they're going to go against each other. Are they going to have little form allegiances out there?
Wait and see. As you rightly say, we've got some new drivers, we've got some shufflings amongst the teams, and we've got some returning drivers as well. 1 or 2 stepping up from, in the case of Aidan Walsingham as an example, last year's AM champ, coming up to the pro class. And you've also, as you look there at Leo Gariboli, got Will Etwell, who is the 2025 Sprint Challenge esports champion, now stepping up to the main game. Crofton Woodhatch is currently the fastest. He's on a 65.054 from Leo Brown, but now Leo Gariboli goes second as he comes over the timing line. So the Leos, second and third, Gariboli from Brown, James Dennison fourth, Jamie Fluke fifth, and the French driver, Rémi Gilbert, one to watch. He is currently sixth. Sebastian Job is a long way down, like 29th, but he's done this to us before. He's got us all panicky, and then in the last few seconds, there he is up on pole position, so don't write him out yet.
I think you've got to play it canny, though, around Donington Park, because it's so easy to pick up an off-track incident which will invalidate your lap time. So it's so easily done around here at Donington Park. Obviously, these pros, they will have been practicing this time and time again and getting those lap times in.
Yeah.
That's not Job that we're looking at on screen, but he does cross the line, 105. So he's getting the pace up there, but he's not there of Will Chadwick right now.
No, you're right. We're looking at Sebastian Hawkins in one of the Bennick sim racing cars, and Seb Hawkins will be another man to watch. Team principal for the Bennick sim racing team, formerly team manager for the Williams esports operation, and new to the championship. So Chadwick from Pennington from Charlie Collins, who's got a lot of experience in the esports Super Cup championship, but not Carrera Cup GB. He's third. Fourth is Gilbert, then Matt Caruana and Aidan Walsingham to round out the top 6. So you've got 2 newcomers to Carrera Cup GB in the top top 4, one of whom there, number 42, is Romain Gilbert, just losing track position to Gareth Higgins, who's also up in pro, and Higgins then backs out of the lap, the session with just over 4 minutes to go.
I think Higgins won't be happy about that because Gilbert was going slow on the racing line through Schwanzkirch there, so Higgins got a little bit of a wiggle on, and yeah, you've got to bail the lap, just try and get a little bit of the heat out of the tyres to then be able to attack once again. But with the time already down to 4 minutes remaining, so we're looking at, what, 3 laps remaining for these drivers?
Just about, yeah. And another improver, Fraser Hart, goes by in number 29. Fraser, you can see there in the blue, I like the spelling of it, Eau Rouge colours. He is a Brabham team sim driver. He's also raced in esports in touring cars as the man from Cheshire. So down through the Craner curves he goes. Another one slowing there, looks like being James Dennison's Project 91 car. Jamie Fluke, welcome back. He's been a winner a long time ago in the championship, but it's good to have him back in the number 49 car, but he backs out of it 9th in the time. So Will Chadwick it is. Way off the road goes Jamie Fluke. It's one way of getting out of people's way, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's just protecting himself from any possible penalties from the stewards post-event.
Yeah.
Of course, as always with this championship, worth pointing out that we've not got live in-race stewarding. Everything is looked at post-event, so you do keep an eye out on the Porsche Esports website for any final results and any changes in classifications.
Yeah, because quite often, certainly as far as race 2 is concerned, with that semi-reverse grid, what you've seen isn't necessarily what the result is, because there's a lot to unpick. Aidan Walsingham then here, the AM champ of last year, heads up towards the line. He's 12th in that sort of mauve liveried car, goes across the timing line, and he's up into the top 10. But Will Chadwick still the fastest by 28 thousandths of a second. And right now, the magic second covers pretty much the entire field. It does. All 29 are covered by just over 7 tenths. That is impressive.
It tells you the standard of drivers in this championship as well. It really does.
Yeah.
It's sensational. One thing I like to point out there, so you talk about Aidan Walsingham, last season's AM champion. 2 seasons ago, AM champion, Luke Pennington. Where is he? Currently P2.
It's true. Yeah, indeed he is. There he is, in fact, on screen. And look who's 3rd. Sebastian Jobe, then getting himself back into the mix. Matt Caruana, who went well last year as well. He is 4th. We discussed it last season, but to make the point again, Matt represented the UK in the FIA Motorsport Games single-seater esports competition in Valencia in 24. And he's 4th quickest. Charlie Collins is 5th. Gareth Higgins 6th. Romain Gilbert. Then Peter Berryman is only 8th. And Aidan Walsingham down in 11th. But there's more to come from him. It's going to be another fascinating season. 90 seconds and counting on the clock.
Well, we asked the question, or you asked the question, can anyone beat Sebastian Jobe? Well, Will Chadwick is trying to put down an early marker here this season, trying to get that pole position straight away. And we've seen the progress throughout the years of this championship, just how Will went from a solitary podium in his very first season all the way through to being a 2-time race winner, of course, winning last season at Snetterton. So he's got that experience of getting the big wins when it counts, but it's what can he do going forward? Can he keep on pushing forward and keep on gaining?
Lots of people go over the timing line and bail, and Sebastian Jobe is a bailer, so he's not going to be able to improve. It does look as though the second row of the grid is where it's going to put him. Whoops, dramas there as after the timing line, 1 or 2 find other cars in their way. Some drivers still pressing on, others calling it a session and backing out of it, being attacked by the quicker cars behind. But it does look as though we've pretty much got a grid, doesn't it? And Will Chadwick, who's in the pit lane, is the fastest then from Luke Pennington, 28,000 between them, and Charlie Collins up to 3rd and Leo Garibaldi 4th. So Jobe down to 5th.
We've got to search the record books. When was the last time that Sebastian wasn't on pole? Yeah, that was quite the turn up there. Luke McEwen, by the way, knock-hill last season. That's the last time Sebastian wasn't on pole position.
Right, but I bet he came through to win the race probably, because Sebastian was always very good at being able to get himself back to the front. But it's going to be an interesting first race then if he starts, as we've been saying, 5th. So let's have a look at how they're going to line up then. Will Chadwick is the driver on pole position, and Luke Pennington is going to be alongside him. 3rd on the grid, Charlie Collins. Not a bad debut, is it? That ahead of Leo Gariboli. Sebastian Job then 5th, and it is Matt Caruana to start 6th on the grid. Pete Berryman is 7th, ahead of Gareth Higgins. Then Remy Gilbert from Isaac Price, back for another season. Aidan Walsingham is 11th, and Leo Brown is going to start 12th on the grid. Jacob Tofts, who was doing, of course, real-world racing, will do again this season in Porsches. He is 13th. Jamie Fluke is going to start 14th, ahead of Crofton Woodhatch and journalist James Dennison. Then you've got that well-known Italian, Conan Whelan, and Scott Brazier lining up alongside. Then it is Tom Stevens ahead of Scott Mokes. You've got Will Eatwell, the Sprint Challenge esports champion, alongside Gordon Marshall. Guy Edwards, who was an AM race winner last year, quite a long way back, 23rd ahead of James Parker. He starts 24th on the grid. 25th is another of the newcomers, the Isle of Man driver Dylan Freckleton. Christian Charuta, who also won in AM last year, the former Caterham Real World racer, a long way back, 26th on the grid, ahead of Kieran Harding, and then Sebastian Hawkins with Fraser Hart, rounding out the 29 in number 29. So then, the grid now starts to form. Drivers rejoin the server, and then we are going to be good to go. It's a 25-minute race rather than a set number of laps, but the expectation is 23, maybe 24 laps. 23 is what they did 2 years ago when we last raced on the national circuit. The timing screen that we have in front of us is offering 24 as a possibility. We'll see just how rapid the drivers are. So the gridding up is then completed. The Donington National Circuit, just 1.96 miles in length. Grid stretching all the way back on that 1x1 stagger. Everybody good to go then. Race 1 of the 2026 Porsche Carrera Cup GB Esports season is go, and it's a good getaway by Will Chadwick as Luke Pennington tries to get up alongside him. They rub on the way down towards Redgate. Job to the inside, look. 4th he is. Pennington tries to go the long way round, but a good getaway. That puts Will Chadwick in the lead. Really nice start.
Yeah, Job already up 1 place at the start there, so getting a good launch at the front of the field. Towards the back, I can tell you that Scott Merckx has dropped down to the very rear, so something's happened to him at Redgate. And Sebastian Hawkins has got a black flag, so obviously made a jump start right at the beginning.
And he was a long way back on the grid anyway, wasn't he? Penultimate on the grid. So it is Chadwick from Pennington as they accelerate their way uphill. Sebastian Job 3rd then, just waiting to see what happens ahead of him. In 4th place, Matt Caruana in the next of those green cars that come out of the Project 91 racing team stable. This might tell us, as you look at the live pictures at the bottom, what happened to Scott Mokes on the main image. There's a kind of pincer movement going on. 3 into 1 did not go. And Scott Mokes on the outside was the one that got speared off. Not really his fault, I don't think that. I think somebody went for a gap that wasn't really Porsche-sized.
It was 3 or 4 abreast, wasn't it, into Redgate, which generally doesn't go when you're driving these cars. But Sebastian getting a good start, the champion, of course, defending champion, but Charlie Collins dropping those couple of places at the start here then, down to 5th place. I don't think he'll be too pleased with that, but Chadwick is under some pressure in front of him from Luke Pennington as we see what's happened to Christian Charuta.
And he's been given a bit of hit and shoulder up at Coppice and been turned around. That, I think, was by Sebastian Hawkins, who's already got that Damocletian black flag to attend to for that alleged jump start. So it's been a rather torrid first lap, hasn't it, for Sebastian Hawkins? 2 dramas. Race control looking at both. Up front, though, Will Chadwick's edging away, isn't he? Because there in 2nd place is Luke Pennington. He's got a bit of a gap to Sebastian Job, but Will Chadwick is certainly coming out fighting, isn't he, in this first race?
He's got to set the stall out. He's really got to get off on the good foot here, and it's not necessarily the longest of seasons as Isaac Price getting involved. Was that Remy Gilbert? Perhaps no, number 33, which is Leo Brown. So Brown and Price getting together at the chicane at the end of the lap. But Chadwick, I think he needs to get off on a good start, get himself some good points to start the season off, because it's we've seen in previous seasons how difficult it is for somebody to charge down on somebody who gets a good launch at the start of the season. Job's trying to make some moves ahead. 2 cars ahead of Luke Pennington, and oh, here comes Caruana!
Makes his move up the inside, nearly 3 wide for second place. Caruana on the inside, he's cleared Job. He's about to clear Pennington, but here comes Job up the inside. And it is the reigning champion that goes through. More contact. Caruana bounces off Pennington, who's really badly delayed. That plays right into the hands of Job. He's clear.
It plays into the hands of Chadwick. He's saying, and looking in his mirrors, laughing away, saying, thanks, boys, keep this up, I'm off. But yeah, Charlie Collins gaining from that, but Job, it was Job and Caruana getting together with Luke Pennington. He was getting a bit bullied, it looked like, and a little bit of bouncing between cars, and I'm sure we'll get a look at that in a few moments' time again. But again, Coppice, you can't really go 2 or 3 wide into Coppice, 2 wide at most, and even then, you're compromising each other.
Race 4 last year, the last win for Will Chadwick at Snetterton. And not only does he want to come out fighting and get a good start to the championship season, but to put one over in Sebastian Job in the first race would do something really promising psychologically for him, wouldn't it? Because normally drivers find themselves straight away on the back foot, having to chase the reigning champion. He's won the title 4 times as Sebastian, but to win the first race, that really does lay down a marker. And you're absolutely right, that did play into Will Chadwick's hands. He's now got a very impressive gap of 1.7 seconds. Now the interest comes as to how much Sebastian Job can whittle that away. Charlie Collins runs 3rd, Leo Gariboli 4th, Matt Caruana 5th, Pete Berryman is 6th, Gareth Higgins, Aidan Walsinger, Remy Gilbert and the somewhat battered car of Luke Pennington round out the top 10. A little bit further back, as far as the AM category is concerned, 16th, Tom Stevens, class leader.
Yeah, that's good going from Tom then to be up there at the front of the field in that car. It's a very distinctive livery for Tom Stevens as well, I must say, in his car. Of course, raced last season, 5th place in the championship, so we're looking to get off on the right foot here. I'm noting that the track temperature 31 degrees Celsius out there, so it's not overly hot for these cars, but it's not exactly cool either. So we've seen in the past how Sebastian Job can look after his tyres and then really come on in the second half of a race. With him having to charge down that gap, which, by the way, Will Chadwick, he was there in first on pace, let's not forget, in qualifying.
Yep.
Sebastian's got a very difficult job with a very quick Charlie Collins behind him as well.
Yeah, the gap between those two, just under half a second as they go to Redgate once more. There is Collins in 3rd in the purple, white and orange car. Behind him is Leo Gariboli in 4th spot. But Sebastian Job, of course, knows how to win championships. And already he'll be thinking, OK, I might not have the pace here to get up onto the back of Will Chadwick. So where am I going to start for race 2? How many points can I get out of this? Yeah, OK. As long as I can keep those guys behind and not make mistakes, let's wait and see what happens. The almost cash register brain of Sebastian Job will be thinking points and thinking championship already, won't it?
You've got to. You absolutely have to. And if you can minimise the losses that you can have if you're genuinely going to push for a championship, then yeah, that's what you've got to think of straight away. Damage limitation. How can I get the most out of these races? And with it being that top 8 that inverts, starting 7th place for Sebastian in race 2. Again, we've seen him work his way through, but I do think that the level of competition this season has picked up a gear, hasn't it, compared to previous years?
Yeah, I'd go along with that. And the fact that you've got such an interesting, top 10, really, of quick drivers. Top 11, top 12, put Toffs and Fluke into that. Yeah, I think we're going to have a lot of good racing this season. This is Aidan Walsinger you're riding with, 8th place. Last year he was the AM champion, and in the second half of the year he was absolutely unstoppable. Early season, he and Christian Chiruta and Guy Edwards sort of shared the wins amongst them, but then from round 9 onwards it was all Aidan Walsinger. So he makes the step up to pro, he runs in 8th place, and there he is from the outside as the cars sprint their way up towards Coppice once more. The clock ticks on down. Got a set number of laps, 25 minutes. Flag goes out the first time the leader crosses the line once those 25 minutes are up. And there is Pete Berryman's red car in the background, hunting down Matt Caruana there, coming into the chicane.
And we've seen how quick Pete is as well. You were noting just how many fastest laps that Pete Berryman has had in the past. He's a rapid driver. Not always had the best of luck. Here's Dylan Freckleton in his flame-inspired, I would say that's early 2000s Max Power livery, is what I would say that is. Showing my age there. But yeah, Pete Berryman, incredible pace behind him, not always the best of luck. So he'll be hoping for a good solid start. And currently, to be honest, being in 6th place is not the end of the world when you think of that top 8 inversion.
And indeed, that top 8 inversion would put Aidan Walsingham onto pole position for race 2. Remember that as far as the pro category is concerned, this is the race to win because there's a greater allocation of points because it comes, if you like, on a natural race grid rather than a reverse grid. So it's 12 for a win in this, not 10 for race 2. And Will Chadwick, of course, race leader, now by over 2 seconds, already has a 2-point advantage because he got those for pole position.
Yeah, it's so vital is this opening race, and we saw last year just how Sebastian Job was able to get those race wins and really put him in that pound seat for the championship. But look at Charlie Collins, he's all over the back of Sebastian Job's car, trying to do a bit of detailing by the looks of it to that new Red Bull livery. Launched today is that new Red Bull livery for the esports team, and yeah, certainly Charlie's given it a good once-over.
Well, Sebastian Job, as we've been saying, is the benchmark driver. It really would be good to see him on the real-world Carrera Cup GB grid. He came to Thruxton last year. He was in the Porsche Race Centre. He was interviewed on ITV4 as part of the live broadcast about esports Porsche racing and the step across to real-world racing. It would be good to have him on that real-world grid, there's no doubt about it. But on this grid, he's a really good yardstick for everybody else. And Charlie Collins, who's raced against him in Super Cup, bearing down on him as they come through the chicane. 10 of the 25 minutes are up, and Chadwick's gap, which was over 2 seconds, has just come down by a couple of tenths, hasn't it?
It's hovering around that 2-second mark, isn't it? I mean, the lap times that they're setting is almost identical between Chadwick and Job, just about 19 thousandths of a second difference that last lap. So there's very little difference between them in terms of lap time. Now, is that a little bit of Will keeping things in reserve to preserve his tyres, or is he giving it absolutely everything? I would say potentially, given his qualifying pace, he's within 9/10 of that out-and-out top pace that he can do. So he is pushing, but Sebastian Job's pushing as well because he's having to.
Exactly, he's got Collins bearing down on him. 1.8 seconds then, Chadwick to Job. I just wonder whether Charlie Collins, if he were to get by, whether he'd be able to do a better job of catching Chadwick, because he was quicker, of course, in qualifying. He was 3rd, whereas Job was 5th on the grid. The gap between them is much reduced this time as they come through. So Will Chadwick is about to start lap number 11, and now Collins is lining up to have a go, isn't he? Nose to tail they run here, down towards Redgate. And a slight look to the inside. That was a feint more than a dive. Had that been the last lap, I think Charlie would have given it a red hot go. But for the moment, he sits tight. Lap 11 down through the Craner curves, off the top of Hollywood, nose to tail. Job now under huge pressure, isn't he? And the danger here is if they hold each other up, Leo Garibaldi's going to catch up to them in 4th place.
And Leo will not play any favourites here either. He will want to have a podium in his own right as well. So definitely the pressure is on these two to not trip over each other and to get involved with each other. So it's that tricky, it's that balancing act that you've got to do, David. When you're in the heat of the moment, you see a slight opportunity, you stick a nose in, and before you know it, you're tripping over each other, slowing each other down and bringing others in. And Collins, he's getting a nose to the back bumper, but he's not able to then follow it. I almost feel that he needs to get the run out of the chicane here. Concentrate more on getting the run out of the chicane down towards Redgate, personally.
Job wise to all of that, moves across, covers off the inside line. All of this is playing into Chadwick's hands. The gap's up to 2 seconds, side by side onto the top of the Craner curves. Then Collins goes through, they lean on each other. Job back round the outside, retakes 2nd and up to 3rd. Look goes Garibaldi, great racing.
And Caruana following through as well. Garibaldi looking at Job. He's got straight there and thought, I'm not sitting behind, I'm going for it. You've got to take your chances, you've got to take your opportunities. And now, look look at this train of cars, the nose to tail. This is fantastic stuff. We've got enough a race of this yet, David.
Well, and that's normally the more lively because it's the reverse grid. But while all that was going on, and here's the replay, Chadwick now leads by 3 seconds. Piece it together. So it was a late dive into the corner by Charlie Collins. There was just about a gap. And here, look, going in towards Hollywood, they lean on each other, and it is Collins who comes off worst. Gary Bowley says thank you very much and goes charging through. Matt Caruana comes by as well. Then Gary Bowley has a look down the inside into the old hairpin, gets crowded up onto the curb. Sebastian Job's got sharp elbows, hasn't he? And he had to use them, had to stick them out there to hang on to second spot. Look at this train of cars now, all clued up behind Job in second place.
This is what, first down to 9th place, absolutely together, and then there's even more joining on at the back of this one. This is almost like a bank holiday Friday with the caravan at the front of an A road. Yeah, this is not the Sebastian Job we're used to seeing, but quite frankly, he's shown his racecraft in being able to get himself into second place when he's clearly not quite got the pace of other drivers today.
And Chadwick is 3 seconds up the road now. So Leo Gariboli is the next one to try to get past Sebastian Job. Now, having said that he hasn't got the pace, bear in mind, he's in second place. He started 5th on the grid. So he made a good fist of it early doors in that drama up at Coppice, and he has still been able to get them all queued up behind. Sebastian Job as the cork in the bottle is not something we've ever had to say, I don't think, before. But right now, there he is in second place, resolutely hanging on to that. Nobody can get past him.
But this goes back to what I was saying, his racecraft. Sebastian his racecraft is almost second to none. The way that he's able to work his way through. We've seen it with reverse grid races, how he's able to work his way through. Here, he's having to give it the old rugby player shoulder charges on people. It's a bit rough, but, you know, door handle to door handle between him and Charlie. We saw how that ended up. Collins, he's putting the pressure on Caruana, who, again, himself is nobody to sniff at a chance. He's wanting a podium here, is Matt.
He is indeed. Up from 6th on the grid. Remember, he started alongside Sebastian Job and Will Chadwick from pole, the race leader. The one that really did get a poor hand of it, if you like, after that skirmish at Coppice. Luke Pennington qualified 2nd, and there he is down in 10th place.
And I think Luke will be trying everything that he can to get in those 2 places to get pole position for race 2. I think that's going to be a key for him to try and get that recovery, but that's easier said than done because Remy Gilbert has got the best part of 2 seconds, well, 1.5 seconds we'll call it, between him and Walsingham. So that's going to be difficult for Pennington to move forward as Tom Stevens losing the place to Scott Brazier. That's not in class. The problem for Tom is that Conan Wynn, that famous, as you say, the famous Italian, right behind him now, so right in his tailpipe.
Tom Stevens, a winner at Thruxton last year, would like another one, would like to start his season in style. It was Conan Wynn who took the class pole position as well, so we know that he's got good pace. And here they come up towards Coppice then, so Conan Wynn in number 12, the Battleship Grey car, sitting on the back of Tom Stevens, 17th place overall, but the class lead battle is what's going on here. Christian Charuta, who got turned around up here at Coppice on the opening lap, he is way down the order, trying to recover as well, and we know that he's a quick driver, so one to watch, although 27th, I'm afraid, does not bode well in terms of an overall result, but at least it's some points in class. Stevens, for now, hanging on to the advantage in AM, 8 minutes and change on the clock.
Is it Battleship Grey or is it Gunmetal Grey? get your paint swabs out, everybody. And
I think it depends whether you're on land or at sea, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, certainly. And this is it. We've been so focused at the front of the field, and quite rightly we have. But this battle for AM lead is just as intense as well, because you're looking at Stevens, Wern, Edwards, of course, a former race winner in AM, right behind them. The ISA Pro is trying to recover his way through the AMs there, so they're all trying to fight for their own championship positions as well.
So Stevens up towards Coppice, just getting away slightly, I would say, this time from Conan Wynn in the grey Porsche. Which shade of it? Well, you decide. There are 50 shades of grey to choose from, so you might be here for a while. But down towards the chicane, that gap really has widened. Here, meanwhile, Matt Caruana getting himself onto the back of Leo Gariboli as they round Redgate. And now, look, that's enabling Job just to escape up the road a little bit as Gariboli has to go defensive.
Yeah, and Gariboli, the last lap, was the best part of a tenth and a half slower than Caruana. So Caruana's got that bit of pace right now in his car, and he's going to, as I say, he wants a podium, does Matt. Last season he did get himself, of course, a race win and a couple of podiums out of the season. So Matt, he knows what it takes to get onto the podium. It's just, he'd like to do it in a race one here, wouldn't he?
Totally, and that would also, as I said earlier on, put something down as a psychological win as well. And Sebastian Job, for a change, will be on the back foot thinking, okay, right, I didn't have the quickest car and Chadwick was really good. What do I need to do? Well, right now he's got to hang on to that second place. He's got to bank points. The race leader has gone by then, so Will Chadwick is on to lap number 18, 6 minutes and change on the clock. Job second, Gariboli third. Then it's Caruana, Collins and Berryman in 6th place. Pete Berryman's kind of been under the radar a bit in this. He's been in that train race long, hasn't he? But he's not really been able to attack.
He's just gained the one place as Pete throughout this race. Started in 7th. He's just sat there, and it's almost like he's just biding his time. He's not getting himself involved in any shenanigans. Charlie Collins is looking keen now on the back of Matt Caruana's car. Donington National is the track that I prefer of the two layouts of Donington. But it does then limit a couple of your overtaking spots to, say, down to the chicane or down to Redgate. Everywhere else, they're a bit more of a lungy move and more likely to involve contact of some form. So, yeah, you do lose maybe one or two big braking zones to make some overtakes. But for me, it just produces the better racing and it has a better flow to the track as well. But it does mean that... they've got less opportunities. Of course, they've got more laps, though, so you balance it out a little bit with the loss of those opportunities.
But equally, you could argue it's a nicer circuit for these cars with the big engines, with all the 510 brake horsepower, because you don't have those two stop-start hairpins that you do on the Grand Prix section. The national circuit flows a lot nicer, as you suggest. Though Sebastian Job now getting away again from Gariboli, but he's got to make up 3.7 seconds against Will Chadwick in the lead. And he's not going to be able to do that, I don't think. But look, he has, in this final quarter of the race, been able to get away. And is that because he's got the pace finally, he's unlocked something, or is it because Gariboli is busy defending from Caruana?
I have a funny feeling it's the latter in terms of what's happening here. I mean, Sebastian, he's the only driver who did a 1:04 the last lap. I think Will Chadwick is just looking after his car, although right as I say that, Will Chadwick now sets a 1:04.9, so he's picked the pace back up. But yeah, Sebastian just able to get away. Gariboli, he's focusing, he's looking in his mirrors because he's got Caruana right there giving him a good look. Caruana's got Collins there and Berryman's on the outside looking in, saying, come on, start tripping over each other so I don't need to actually make any moves.
Meanwhile, in AM, the battle between Tom Stevens and Conan Wynn is now 0.3 of a second. That's all the margin is. So Conan Wynn still determined to try to find a way past the leader. You can see them in the bottom of the two pictures there. The top one is the overall and the pro situation. You can also, off that top picture, see just how big a gap now Will Chadwick has. But Tom Stevens spending a lot of time looking in his mirror. He is a very busy class leader, whereas Will Chadwick has got a heck of a lot of breathing space.
Certainly does, and for the mind, for somebody at the front of the field, it takes so much stress off of you. You're not putting that pressure on yourself of thinking, oh my goodness, they're right on my tail, I can't make a mistake, I can't do this, can't do that. You're more likely to then make a mistake if you tense. Oh, poor Caruana's deep into Redgate. That's the opportunity that was needed. And it's Collins who moves forward to 4th, Caruana down to 7th now.
What were you saying about making mistakes? There it is, graphically illustrated by Matt Caruana. So he drops down to 7th place. That's going to put him on the front row on the reverse grid, but that's little consolation having just chucked away some points.
If you tell a driver you've got the potential of a podium, or you can start in the front row of an inverted grid, I know which I would rather take, to be honest, especially with those extra points available in this first race for the pros. So here we'll have a look then. So it's Collins has a look down the inside. Caruana then, I think, just gets a little bit spooked by him. Snags a break. Through goes Berryman. Through goes Higgins as well. And Walsingham's right there to try and take advantage as well.
In fairness, it could have been a lot worse, actually, that for Matt Caruana, couldn't it? He could have ended up in the gravel as there Job goes across the line, but he's not making any progress against Will Chadwick as the cars go down towards Redgate. All of a sudden, it's looking a bit darker out there, isn't it? And headlights doing a bit more work. They are going to get this lap and one more. Yeah, possibly. I don't think any more than that. We'll double check. But Will Chadwick then is edging ever nearer to a race win. And what a start to his season. Will, don't forget, also does some real-world racing. He's done Mazda MX-5s, for example, and an experienced Porsche Esports racer, whether it's in the British Championship or in Super Cup. And runner-up in 2023, Will Chadwick in Carrera Cup GB. There they go, through Coppice, Chadwick, Job, and then Gary Bowley now with Charlie Collins breathing down his neck. Berryman 5th, and Gareth Higgins in the yellow car up to 6th.
What did I say about Berryman? Just maybe biding his time, waiting for opportunities. Yeah. Well, there you go. That's it. He didn't even have to make a move, as I said. But Collins, he's the one putting the pressure on. Yes, we're on to the last lap. The flag marshal's got, it's the American flag marshal by the looks of things. White flag in the air, and Collins looking to the outside at Redgate. Is this the chance for Berryman?
He's going to have a go, isn't he? But Charlie Collins able to regroup. Berryman way up the curb there at Hollywood as they drop down the hill, nose to tail. Invidious position this, of course, for Collins. He's got to attack, he's got to defend. Out of the old hairpin they come. And he's not able to make a move. Sebastian Job now safe in 2nd. And up front, Will Chadwick, good for the race lead.
Yeah, this has been really good. Excellent stuff at the front of the field from Chadwick. Got the great launch off the start, defended it, and has then built up that gap. Collins looking for the over-under at Coppice. It's a classic move down there. Can he hold on to it into the chicane at the end of the race here, David?
I think he can. He's got the inside line. It's going to be the last of the late breakers as Will Chadwick comes through to score victory in the first race of the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain for 26. Way up the grass, though, has gone Collins, so he's made a mistake. And it's going to be Pete Berryman. Is it for 2nd place on the drag race to the line? Sebastian Job, rather, for 2nd. 3rd goes the way of Pete Berryman. He just got ahead of Gary Bowley by Nats Crotchet on the line. Gareth Higgins up to 5th, ahead of Caruana. Collins down to 7th. Walsingham 8th and pole for race 2. And Tom Stevens just fends off Conan Wim to take honours in AMS. So the gap between Berryman and Gary Bowley, 82 thousandths of a second as they came across the line. But it all kicked off at the chicane, didn't it? With, as you saw, Charlie Collins running out wide and losing places. So well done, Will Chadwick. Really impressive drive, that. And with points for pole, that starts off his season in style. Will Chadwick, race winner in the end by 4 seconds. Back to the anorak pocket to see when the last big gap of a winner was, such as that. Sebastian Job takes 2nd and Pete Berryman 3rd, ahead of Leo Garibaldi and then Gareth Higgins. Matt Caruana coming home in 6th, ahead of Charlie Collins and then Aidan Walsingham, Remy Gilbert 9th, and the delayed Luke Pennington rounding out the top 10. 11th to Jacob Tofts, ahead of Jamie Fluke, then James Dennison fending off Crofton Woodhatch. It was Will Eatwell from Scott Brazier before Tom Stevens and Conan Wean came through as the top 2 in AM. Then Isaac Price, and to round out the top 20, it was Kieran Harding. After that, Guy Edwards from Fraser Hart. Leo Brown dropped a long way back, but he fended off Gordon Marshall and Scott Mopes. You had James Parker, 26th, from Christian Charuta, then Dylan Freckleton, and after his black flag and his pit stop, Sebastian Hawkins, 29th. A 1 minute 4.882, the fastest lap by the race winner, Will Chadwick. Mighty drive that. What a way for him to start the season.
Perfect start. You cannot ask for anything better. If it was a Grand Prix, it'd be a Grand Chelem. wouldn't it, for Will there? Led every lap, started pole position, fastest lap. You cannot get better than that. Unfortunately for him, we're not doing a Grand Prix. We're doing the Porsche Esports Carrera Cup Great Britain, and that means it's going to be starting the second race of the evening in 8th place. And it's you're in the danger zone there, aren't you? As we saw at the very start of that first race, how easily it can be to get involved in incident.
Totally right, and he was able to keep out of trouble, but it's not going to be easy necessarily in this next race for him. So it is going to be Aidan Walsingham then on pole position for our second race as the 8th placed finisher, and with him on the front row is going to be Charlie Collins. So again, it's little consolation after the dramas of the chicane in that previous race, but Collins from the front row, that's going to be interesting, isn't it?
I'm going to call it right now. I think it's going to be a Charlie Collins win in the second race. He's had that pace all evening so far. He started that first race in 3rd place. I can't see anything but a Charlie Collins win. But as we all know, I seem to hold the strongest strain of commentators' curse in all of esports. So who knows what will happen.
Luke Pennington from 10th, one to watch as well. The warm-up then, finishing. Just a handful of seconds to go, then the drivers will rejoin the server and we will be good to go once again. Sebastian Jobe, if we get a chance to talk to him at the end of the evening, will be interesting to hear the thoughts of, given that he didn't have the pace anticipated in that first 23-lap race. So then, race 2 coming up here at the Donington Park National Circuit, the Grand Prix loop there in the background. Why is there a loop at Donington? Well, when Formula 3000 first came to Donington in 1985, the governing body of the sport, FISA, as it then was, the motorsport arm of the FIA, said, hang on a minute, you need a 2.5 mile minimum circuit, and the only way to get Donington up to the minimum was to use some of the spare land, and that's how the Grand Prix loop was created and added on in order to appease the governing body. Aidan Walsingham then from Charlie Collins on the front row, Matt Caruana on row 2 with Gareth Higgins for company, then Leo Gariboli and Pete Berryman, with the 4th row being Sebastian Jobe and the race 1 winner, the championship leader, Will Chadwick. Then Remy Gilbert and Luke Pennington to round out the top 10, ahead of Jacob Tofts and Jamie Fluke. 13th on the grid is James Dennison, ahead of Crofton Woodhatch. Will Eatwell, not a bad start actually, getting up from Sprint Challenge 15th in race 1, ahead of Scott Brazier. Then Tom Stevens, AM winner, AM championship leader, ahead of Conan Wean. And then you've got Isaac Price next. Kieran Harding lines up alongside him. Then it is Guy Edwards and Fraser Hart, who made good progress, 7 places gained in race 1. Leo Brown lines up alongside Gordon Marshall with the Solitaire on the side of the car. Scott Mokes is 25th on the grid, ahead of James Parker and then Christian Charuta after his early spin. Dylan Freckleton is next. He was also a driver in strife in race 1, as too was Sebastian Hawkins, and he will complete the grid. 23 laps then ahead of us as we get ready for race 2 here at Donington. People join the server then. The grid will build. Cars magically appear. And the mauve colours of Aidan Walsingham then on pole position. Charlie Collins with him at the front of the grid. And let's see this time around what Will Chadwick can do, starting as he is this time 8th on the reverse grid. So 25 minutes on the clock, the last few cars to join. And once everybody is present and correct, then we are going to be ready once again. You're riding here on board with reigning champion Sebastian Jobe in number 1. Last car joins the server, just pops into the picture. Race 2 at Donington, ready to go, 25 minutes on the clock, the lights go out, good getaway by Walsingham, good getaway also by Charlie Collins, who tries to level with him from that 1x1 staggered grid as they go down towards Redgate, and a big send to the inside there, look, by number 16, Matt Caruana, the green car, tries to squeeze up alongside Charlie Collins as they get to Hollywood, they're almost overlapping, and Caruana's going to have the inside line, but that's the outside for the first part of the Crater curves. Then to the old hairpin, Aidan Walsingham leads. Good start by him.
I think Matt Caruana took a sensible pill and backed out of that one right there into the Crater curves and thought better of it. Thinking big picture here, you've got a 25-minute race, and those 3 at the front still absolutely nose to tail. Sebastian Job trying to make the moves up the field on Remy Gilbert, who made moves forward himself as, oh dear, that was Gordon Marshall and Scott Moakes. Oh dear, it's not been a good day for Scott, has it?
No, he got a little bit toey, I think, going down with the old hairpin. Bounced off Gordon Marshall's car, then had another moment. That's the bounce. And then as he comes back across the road, he was lucky not to take anybody with him there. Scott Moakes into the gravel, admittedly, but the race leaders go down towards Redgate. Charlie Collins under attack from Matt Caruana and attacking Aidan Walsingham as they round Redgate. Lap 2 then, and now they drop down towards the old hairpin. So from the Craner curves, then downhill they go, and Aidan Walsingham in charge. Collins second, Caruana third. Now as they turn their way through the old hairpin once again.
A little bit of a gap over Gareth Higgins, I see the top three, so they're trying to push forward here. It's almost within their best interest to not fight each other and try and get a gap between themselves and the rest of the field so that we can then fight later on. But tell you what, Higgins and Berryman are doing everything they can to try and stay in that slipstream. It's not the biggest of slipstreams off of this car here in iRacing, and so you want to try and be within that sort of half-second gap to really feel the full effects of any slipstream.
Another interesting one is what's going on for 7th place, where Sebastian Job is still ahead of Will Chadwick, and Chadwick has got a bit of ground to make up against Job, but he's got Remy Gilbert bearing down on him. There you can see Job, and look at the gap he's got over Chadwick. So Will here not taking the fight to Sebastian, and I don't think he's just thinking about points, because he would like to be a lot higher up, and right now he's having to defend from Remy Gilbert, who might be new to the championship, but has been a pretty feisty racer in this opening event. So, Joe, 7th, chasing after Leo Gariboli. There he is, coming out of the old hairpin now.
Gariboli easier past than, well, not easier said than done to get past. And on the track, he's a feisty character, and he'll get his elbows out. He won't make life easy for Sebastian, that's for sure. Will Chadwick and Sebastian Job, actually, on the opening lap, Remy Gilbert got ahead of both of them. So they've both had to make their way back past on the following laps after the start. So, yeah, they've had to fight their way, and I think it's been a little bit more difficult for Will than it was for Sebastian.
Leo Gariboli, of course, another AM champion. He was the 23 AM champ, then it was Luke Pennington, and then it was the race leader, Aidan Walsingham, but he might not be the race leader for much longer. To the outside line goes Charlie Collins. He was just fractionally ahead as they break from Redgate. Walsingham back through on the inside line. Collins on the outside at Hollywood. The inside for the first part of the Craner curves. He's got the race lead briefly because Walsingham, can't fight back on the inside. The road was going to come to him at the old hairpin, but Collins goes through and looks straight away, checks out. There is the illustration of the pace that Charlie Collins has. Well, Paul's prediction was a Charlie Collins win, and in 21 minutes' time, we'll see if he's right.
I did say I also have the strongest strain of commentator curse, but Walsingham compromised into the old hairpin. That allowed Caruana to get right onto his tail, so I think Walsingham immediately, after defending stoically against Charlie down through the start of the lap, it's now got to be looking in his mirrors again rather than necessarily looking forward, and that's the opportunity that Charlie Collins needs to take now. Can he break away at the front of the field and get away from Caruana and Berryman, because they're one who he knows has got pace?
Well, Berryman's a bit stuck behind Gareth Higgins, isn't he, for the moment? There is Higgins in the yellow car, Berryman in the red as they come through Hollywood. Gareth Higgins runner-up to Leo Gariboli in AM, going back to 2023. So down towards the old hairpin. Tell you what, actually, Charlie Collins is not getting away quite as much as I anticipated. He is modest in that gap, 0.3 per second. And even that doesn't stay going up towards Schwantz curve. It's hovering around the just, 0.2 and a bit mark. So Charlie Collins looked, when he got the race lead, as though he was going to be away and gone, but Walsingham actually is staying with him. Now, meanwhile, Conan Wean here through the chicane and doing a decent enough job within the AM class right now.
Well, you say that.
Yes.
Writers, it's that bounce over that sausage curb. Now, if you ask me, I don't think sausage curbs have anywhere in the world of motorsport, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, he's hit that sausage curb wrong. The car's bounced wrong. It's pitched it into a slide, and he's dropped all the way down to last place now. So Conan Wean after being second place in AM all the way to the back of the field.
And Tom Stevens looks for a double then, because he's in the class lead, and again in 16th place overall. Right, Charlie Collins was 0.3 of a second ahead when they came across the line. More battles lower down. Tom Stevens trying to keep out of the way of the pro cars. He knows which battle he wants to fight.
Yeah, he's just had Isaac Price go past. Now he's got Jamie Fluke right all over him, and it's knowing when to pick and choose. It's what hill do you want to die on in terms of who you're fighting with, and that isn't his fight. If anything, he wants to work with those quicker pros to come through. But the problem is, you want that comfort zone of having a pro between you and your next AM driver, which is Christian Girouta currently, who's behind Jamie Fluke. So you want a bit of a buffer, but at the same time, you don't want to be tripping over a pro who maybe is faster that time. So we've got side by side Walsingham and Caruana. And Caruana just getting ahead then of Walsingham into that second place. I did wonder if Caruana was able to work his way forward. And Berryman and Higgins are now fighting, and that's allowing Sebastian Job to get involved here. It's all starting to kick off here, David.
It is indeed, as Berryman gets hung out to dry on the outside. Gary Bowley likewise. So Charlie Collins now is escaping, a bit like we saw Chadwick escape in race 1. Caruana then second, Walsingham third, Higgins is fourth, fifth is the red car of Berryman, but maybe not, because Job's up the inside. Chadwick is trying to buy into all of this as well in the green car, who is now, on the back of Leo Gary Bowley. Chadwick lines that for the inside. Job has a go at Berryman coming into the chicane. He's on the inside for the first part, and he's got the job done by the second. Nicely done. So Sebastian Job up into 5th place now. Chadwick onto the grass there.
He's been very aggressive this race, and that's actually allowing Remy Gilbert to get involved in this one. So Will, after getting ahead of Remy, has not been able to get away from him, and he's back with him, all like a bad stink all over an old jacket that you've had in the back of a cupboard there. Oh, Berryman losing it through the crane of curves, holds on to it though.
So here they come, and more drama. Another bit of hip and shoulder. Who does that fire off? Remy Gilbert, who tries to keep it out of the gravel, but he's got friction free on the grass. It goes left, it goes right. He was able just to hang on to that. That was a good save by Remy Gilbert, but I think he'll be a little bit disgruntled about why he got there in the first place. This is the replay of Pete Berryman getting his elbows out and squeezing the traffic onto the grass, but Will Chadwick slots back in behind as Caruana hangs on to second place. Away and gone up front, though, is Collins here.
Yeah, it's exactly as you said, taking advantage of the situation and then pulling away. That's what he's had to do. Caruana, can he answer that? The answer is no. He's almost 0.3 of a second slower than your race leader is Matt Caruana, who's in second place. So Charlie Collins showing that Porsche Esports Super Cup experience right here, right now.
So down through the old hairpin, and the lead gap just under 2.5 seconds. Charlie Collins to Matt Caruana, and Sebastian Job look edging a little bit closer now onto the back of Gareth Higgins. Will Chadwick's the interesting one, isn't it? In as much as he's still stuck in 8th place, he has not progressed at all from where he started on the grid. He's got Pete Berryman ahead of him, and here is Will Chadwick, a driver that we know is fast, but he just can't find a way through the traffic here.
And this is where I think that difference between somebody of Will Chadwick's calibre, who is an excellent driver, very quick driver, we've seen that today so far, and Sebastian Job in these reverse grid races, your ability to be able to work your way through the grid and get yourselves forward is such a key factor in these types of championships. You need to be able to progress forward. Will Chadwick giving it the old sim racers lean there as well through turn number 1. But yeah, it's that ability. I can think back to when I was racing against Sebastian Job in 2015 in touring cars. We had some big reverse grid races in that series, and at 14, 15 years old, he was getting a very good lesson in working your way through a grid.
Well, right now, Sebastian Job sitting on the back of Gareth Higgins and trying to find a way of dislodging him, but Gareth, another experienced Porsche racer, not as successful as Sebastian Job, but doing his level best at the minute to hang on to that 4th place. So down they come in towards the chicane once again. Still got Tom Stevens ahead within the AM class. Jamie Fluke, you could argue, I know he's returning to the championship, but I think he'll be a bit frustrated only to be 16th, and he's gone backwards in this race, hasn't he, rather than forwards, which is, again, to his frustration.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm getting the big book of racing driver excuses out here. He's new back to the series after such a long break. You think 2021, 5 years ago is that? So he's having it difficult working his way through in this championship. The level of competition, I mean, it was high back in 2021, but I do think that things have stepped up year on year. And he's relatively fresh back into the simulator. When drivers go away to different simulators, they learn the foibles, the little nuances that each simulation has, that is how you go quick in that sim. And it takes you a while to get back up to pace in a series like this, where you've got such competition and you find yourselves forward. That's the Jamie Fluke advocate, Paul Smith, right there, giving these excuses now.
Reporting live on behalf of, yes, you're the Caroline Levitt for Jamie Fluke, are you? You're his spokesperson. Right, over the timing line then goes the midfield battle. There, however, is Matt Caruana in 2nd place, and over 3 seconds back from Charlie Collins. Aidan Walsingham still doing a good job in 3rd place, bearing in mind it's the first race he's done in pro. And Gareth Higgins, in fairness, he's also doing a good job, because Gareth has not necessarily been a front runner. He's been there or thereabouts, but seeing him up in 4th place and well, about to be 5th as Job gets up the inside is still refreshing to see him with that leading group. Job to the inside up at Coppice. He ought to get the job done. Yeah, he does, easily going into the corner. So he started it at McLean's, finishes at Coppice. Sebastian Job pushing forward. Despite the fact that Will Chadwick won race 1, the fact that he's 8th and Sebastian Job is now up to 4th is going to make the championship really interesting at the end of the opening event, isn't it? I know it's a long way still to go as far as talking of a title is concerned, but here is Job doing arguably a better job in terms of 2 race results.
Yeah, and it's that minimising the loss. As I said in that first race, minimising that loss of championship points and trying to get the best result overall. We see it in the British Touring Car Championship, don't we, with reverse grids, where people, if they've had a bad first race, they then sort of work back, right, where do I need to be in the 2nd race to have a really good chance at a 3rd race win? It's that mentality of trying to work out what's the best opportunities and the best chances for you to then minimise that championship point loss. Gareth Higgins, by the way, it must be a good circuit for him, because it's the circuit, okay, it was a GP circuit, where he only got his only podium finish, did Gareth, a couple of years ago on the GP circuit. So it's a circuit that he knows very well and feels comfortable at, it seems.
I'd go along with that, and I suppose some of that might come down to experience as the cars come over the line again. Right, what have we got? 3.7 seconds, Collins to Caruana, then Walsingham right on his tail. Aidan has not given up, has he? Considering he led initially, he's been shuffled back into 3rd. He's still got designs of taking 2nd place, which is great news for Collins, because it means he's got less pressure. He can pull away up front. 4 seconds now, the margin. But Caruana is going to have to work hard, I think, to keep Walsingham at bay. That, in turn, might help Sebastian Job, because, look, he's getting closer all the time.
He certainly is. I mean, he was matching the pace of the cars in front of Walsingham and Caruana on that last lap, but of course he was making that move on Gareth Higgins to take that into account of his lap time. So yeah, it's definitely Sebastian moving his way forward, as I say, being able to make his way through a field and get that reverse grid points for him. You asked at the end of the first race, what was the last time that we had such a big margin or greater margin for a race win? It was actually Matt Caruana at Knockhill last season, a 7-second win. So that was the last time we had a big margin like we saw in the first race here today. Well,
there you go. Question answered. And the gap currently might be even bigger in race 2 than in race 1, because Collins is escaping up the road and Caruana on the back foot, having to defend from a rapidly closing Walsingham as they come down now through the old hairpin. Sebastian Job is almost with them, 9 more minutes on the clock. Next question, can he get there in time?
I mean, that's a big part of this now. You know, time is against him. We're past the halfway point. He's still dragging Gareth Higgins along with him, so he's not getting away from Gareth here, is Sebastian. We've said that he's not maybe had that pace over others. What will his lap time be across the line this time by? Because he's not really gaining. I don't think that he's gaining that time right now. Lead right now, it is still Tom Stevens, but he's got Christian Giruta in second place, and Christian Giruta in the Porsche Club of Great Britain. His race livery is known as the Flying Bogey. So the lime green and darker green, that's the nickname for the paint for him.
It's not a good look, is it? Right, out of Redgate then they go, and in the AM battle it is still Tom Stevens ahead. Meanwhile, heading up towards Schwann's Curve, Matt Caruana keeps Aiden Walsingham at bay. Sebastian Job, 3 lengths back? I reckon he is going to get up there with 8 minutes to go. He's not that far behind, is he? Race leaders then are on currently lap 15, and here they come around Coppice once again. Caruana, he's doing a good job of keeping Walsingham at bay. He's not put a wheel out of line, he's not cracking under the pressure, but Job, look, he's getting closer, corner by corner by corner, and he could be on for second place come the end of this race.
Of course, Walsingham, the AM Championship win last year, you mentioned that he was just absolutely dominant in that latter part of the season. If he can hang on to this, if he can keep a 4-time champion behind him, this would be his first podium. It'd be really impressive to see an AM be able to come up and progress forward in that way. So 7 minutes though is a long time to hold on against a 4-time British champion and a 2-time Super Cup champion in Sebastian Job.
Charlie Collins, though, is now very nearly 5 seconds up the road. He is very nearly at Snetterton, which is our venue for the next brace of races. This is a dominant display, and he had to work his way into the lead, of course, as we saw early on, but he's getting further and further away from that man, Matt Caruana. 7 minutes, just under 7 minutes still to go. Walsingham third, Job fourth. Then you've got Higgins, you've got Gary Bowley and Will Chadwick. And when Paul talks to him, there'll be no doubt delight as the race 1 winner and the pole position winner, but laced with a bit of frustration that he's really not been able to get through the traffic in race 2, has he, at all?
Yeah, he's got stuck behind Garibaldi, he's got stuck behind Higgins and the Cope in front. He's been able to get past Peter Berryman, so Will has moved forward 1 place from where he started, but yeah, that's not the progress that you want to see if you're Will. I don't think he'll be having a celebratory Wigan kebab tonight. I don't think it'll be worth that. Maybe just a couple of Uncle Joe's mint balls, perhaps, to sweeten things off after such a good first race. But yeah, definitely.
They have to live in Wigan, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I'm surprised he's not going to be going out partying at Wigan Pier, but there you go. But yeah, it is frustrating, and I've never been in that position myself. Hence why I'm sat here in the commentary booth with your good self. But I can imagine that when you're stuck behind somebody, you know that you've got that pace advantage over them with solid in qualifying, that it will get frustrating. The last thing that he can do in this opening round after having such a good first race is getting involved in a silly incident that causes him to get the ire of the stewards.
One former driver that did an analyst role with me once talked about getting hypnotised almost by the car ahead. You stare at it for so long, you stop thinking about where you can overtake. You just a bit like when you're stuck in a traffic jam on a country lane and you can't get through. You sort of lose the fight to a degree, and you just get totally hypnotised by the back of the car ahead. And Will Chadwick sort of now needs almost to literally put his finger out and work out where the gap might be, because we know he's got the pace. So start fighting, don't wait for a gap to open up, make something happen, make a gap appear by applying even more pressure to Gary Bowley. Sounds easy, but he's got to do something, because Sebastian Job's made it work, hasn't he, and got through?
And it's almost as if, as you're alluding to there, you need to arrive, get the move done, and get away. It's almost better to do that rather than get stuck behind somebody. And you start getting to their breaking points, you start taking their lines, and so you end up slowing down because of it. Chadwick's trying to do something about it though. Garibaldi's going defensive into Redgate, but around the outside of Redgate, it's a difficult one to pull off. You have to be to the front wheel to front wheel through Redgate to make that one work.
But at least he's now taking the fight back to Garibaldi. That was perhaps the most committed we've seen, Will, for a good few laps. I mean, they're not that far behind Gareth Higgins, so there is scope if Chadwick could get ahead of Leo Garibaldi or force a mistake out of him, then another place might beckon further up the road. But again, Leo Garibaldi much improved in the time that we've seen him in the pro category, hanging on to that place. Meanwhile, Charlie Collins, remember him, he is now 5.4 seconds up the road from Matt Caruana, who's still got Aidan Walsingham right there behind him. Job then is 4th, Higgins 5th, Garibaldi 6th, Will Chadwick the race 1 winner. In 7th place, down to the chicane they come, and another 2 laps beckon.
It's been a great defensive display though from both Caruana and Walsingham, to be fair, because we said, what, 4 minutes ago, Sebastian Job, there we go, is on the back of Walsingham. He's not really progressing forward now, is he? He's
you're
got
right.
to the back of him, and he's almost sort of stalled in that 4th position now. So, Caruana, Walsingham doing a good job there, but it's been steady progress pulling away. It's not like Collins has had gone off, to use one of your phrases, like a stabbed rat, has he? He's just been steady away, just working his way forward, kind of like what we saw with Chadwick in the first race.
Yeah, Job now is a bit like Chadwick. You know, he's stuck and he hasn't been able to work out a way of finding a gap to dislodge Aidan Walsingham. So he's becoming hypnotised by that car ahead. He's just following, and seems to be running out of ideas. Arguably, though, the other side of the coin is he's banking points, but I'm sure he'd like to bank as many as he can, and he wants to get past Walsingham. Meanwhile, Tom Stevens versus Christian Scheruter. We didn't really see the best of Christian, did we, in the first race, because he got turfed off the road up here at Coppice. But the former Caterham star in real-world racing, accelerating his way now down towards the chicane. And Christian Scheruter, who was also competing in the Sprint Challenge, so very much a Porsche Esports stalwart these days, trying to get a class win. Caruana, meantime, is 2nd. There's going to be 1 more lap to go at the end of this, I would offer you. This is lap 22. We got 23 out of the first race, and Sebastian Job still hasn't got close enough to attack Walsingham. He's about 2 lengths too far back.
I think Chadwick's going to be trying to make some moves, and right as I say that, look at that, they're side by side. Oh, and a little hip check between the two of them as well. Be careful with that, boys. The problem for that, though, is because of the contact, those two have dropped way back off of Gareth Higgins, so potentially Chadwick has pretty much finalised his position if he can hold on to it.
And that might be either on track or in the steward's room, so to speak, because with the contact, that might get looked at. You're right, they have dropped away from Higgins. There is the last lap flag being vigorously ushered in the direction of drivers. The hope Chadwick's got now is that Berryman comes up to have a go at Garibaldi and takes the pressure off. But with a lap to go, I can't see Chadwick getting up with Higgins. You're right, it's kind of too little too late. But it is more points gained then. So you've got Job 4th, Chadwick 6th. Going to be interesting to see who comes out of the day as championship leader out of the old hairpin then.
Higgins has caught up to Sebastian Job in this last lap as well, so Job must have made a little micro mistake in this last lap.
Well, the checkered flag is going to be readied for Charlie Collins very shortly, and just like Will Chadwick dominated race 1, Charlie Collins has done so in race 2. Having hit the front, he has been able to escape and get up the road. So down he comes then in the Commander Esports car, and it's going to be a first win for him in Carrera Cup GB Esports. Checkered flag at the ready. Charlie Collins wins race 2 of the 2026 season. It is going to be Matt Caruana for 2nd place then as they come across the line. Aidan Walsingham is going to be 3rd. Sebastian Job 4th. Gareth Higgins 5th. 6th to Chadwick. 7th Garibaldi. Then it's Berryman, Tofts and Luke Pennington to round out the top 10. 23 laps done as the rest come home, with Tom Stevens taking a 2nd AM success Christian Chiruta in second place. Well done, Tom Stevens. That's his best outing yet. He has had a win before, but only the one. And there you go, to start the season, a double. And that is not easy in AM because that's a very competitive class as well. So Charlie Collins winning in the end by 5.9 seconds. And that is quite a gap in a one-make category. So the drivers making their way now through to the pit lane as we can confirm the result. Charlie Collins then the race winner by 5.9 seconds from Matt Caruana in second place. It was Aidan Walsingham third. Good effort. First time in pro, remember, this weekend. Sebastian Jobe fourth ahead of Gareth Higgins and then Will Chadwick. Leo Garibaldi seventh from Pete Berryman. Jacob Toffs ninth and Luke Pennington another 10th place. James Dennison 11th from Crofton Woodhatch and Scott Brazier. Will Eatwell 14th from Isaac Price, Jamie Fluke, Leo Brown and the delayed Remy Gilbert. Then you get to the AM drivers and it was Tom Stevens to take the victory from Christian Chiruta in second in class. Guy Edwards third ahead of Gordon Marshall and Fraser Hart. Sebastian Hawkins 24th overall this time from Dylan Freckleton. Then Kieran Harding and Scott Mokes, who was in the gravel early on. James Parker ahead of Conan Whean, delayed early on by his spin. Good news, in both races, everybody finished. So, Charlie Collins, a winner. Will Chadwick, a winner. And after two very lively races indeed. Paul, take your pick. Who do you want to talk to?
Well, I think we speak to our race winner from this most recent race, Charlie Collins. Congratulations, Charlie, a race win, and you didn't make me look like a fool because I predicted you for the win. But I get the sense that it was maybe a little bit of a disappointing first race that put you into that position for the second race.
Oh, sorry. Hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, that was a tough round. Good fun. Don't get me wrong, it was a trial by fire getting back into this kind of racing format. It's been a while since PESC. I think the last I did with this kind of format was 2023. Yeah, frustrating first race, but happy to bring it back in the second, and eventful, but I still think a good start to the season.
And well, you mentioned that it's been a while since you've raced this type of format with that grid inversion as well. Does it take a bit of getting back into the swing of things, or is it like just putting on a comfy pair of slippers and being right back where you've been before?
I think probably judging by the first race is the first option. Taking a little bit of time, but I mean, I knew this coming into the season, and I think the thing I'm happy with is that the pace felt really strong, and from that I can build the building blocks and learn it from round by round. So yeah, already a lot of learnings, already a lot of takeaways, and we'll be getting ready for round 2 soon.
Well, all the best with that next round at Snetterton. Charlie Collins, race 2 race winner.
Thanks, fellas.
So that's Charlie Collins that we've spoken to there. Next one was our actual race 1 winner and pole position holder, Will Chadwick. Will, I mean, let's talk about that race 1 to start with. There wasn't really much to talk about because you got into the lead from the start, and a bit of shenanigans behind you just allowed you to get a bit of a comfort zone, didn't it?
Yeah, I think I had really good race pace. Like, most of my prep for this event was race pace, and yeah, it's the right way to end off your first pole in 5 years. So, you know, I'm happy to have won the race.
Yeah, that's a tremendous way to get off on the right foot. Race 2, though. We were saying about how yourself and Sebastian, you were having to first fight your way back past Remy Gilbert, but then it's working the way through the grid. Is that something that's a bit of a tricky thing that you can only learn really in these race environments? You can't really practice for that.
I think it can be quite circumstantial. You know, if you don't put yourself within side 3 or 4 tenths and the car ahead of you makes a mistake, then maybe you get a chance to make a move. But if that happens before you've got there, then you're not going to have a chance. And if no one's making a mistake, you're going to struggle to make a pass around here. Most tracks are like that in this car. So just tried to make the most of my opportunities. It didn't go all to plan for me, but at least I was able to make up a few places, and it's better than not finishing. So it was an okay race 2 for me.
Well, we've got you back of an envelope. Mathematics is 2 points leading in the championship. So go away and take that into the next round, and congratulations on the pole position and race 1 win.
Thank you very much.
There we go. That's our race 1 winner and pole position sitter. A 2-time race winner, though, in AM is Tom Stevens, who joins us now. Good evening, Tom. Well, I mean, you can't really get a much better start to the season than maybe getting AM pole as well. Pretty much perfect start.
Yeah, I mean, it all went pretty well out there. I was not expecting it to go that well at the start, definitely, because I know how close the grid is and the competition is fierce throughout. But yeah, I just managed to qualify fairly high up there, and then my weak point was definitely the starts. That's something I need to work on. I kept losing ground there, but through the carnage, managed to make up a couple positions, and yeah, I'm really pleased with 2 P1s.
And we saw you able to fight with the tail end of the pros as well. Just for anybody new watching this, just what type of mindset are you having when you've got those pros in and around you? Because I was saying that it's nice to have them as a buffer between you and your next AM championship contender, but you don't want to be getting involved in somebody else's race and tripping over each other either, do you?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, because in one mind you kind of want to put the pros in between you and the other AMs as a bit of a buffer, but they're pros for a reason, so they're going to start trying to get past you, and definitely in some moments it was getting a bit hairy, but in my sense I tried to give them a bit more leniency because I wanted to make sure I stayed ahead of the AMs. But in the end, it paid off. It got a bit hairy at a couple of points. But yeah, and I just want to say big thanks that race to my engineer, Dan. He really helped me through that one. And I know sometimes there's not always a lot of side-by-side action, but it definitely feels very intense in these races. So he kept me in the right space, and we managed to do quite well.
Always good to have a good team behind you. Congratulations, though. 2 AM wins here today. Tom Stevens, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So, from a 2-times race winner in today's races, we go now to the man who finished in 2nd place in this second race, Matt Caruana. I mean, talk us through this event, because race 1, you were in the thick of it, weren't you? Getting involved in those podium battles, but it was getting a little bit physical at times, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm just happy to be doing a lot better than I did last season already. Yeah, no, it was a good round overall, but yeah, the first race was a proper good battle at the start. Bit of contact, but I don't really think there's anything in it, to be honest. Just 3 wide through there's never really going to mix, so it's just one of those. But yeah, no, I'm really happy with the overall result.
And that's it, being able to then, with the grid inversion, starting 3rd place, you're up there fighting for a race lead, but as soon as Charlie Collins got away with you and Aidan fighting, it was all a case of just trying to get that 2nd place, was it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Charlie just completely dropped us, to be honest, so fair enough. He had great pace, but yeah, no, I was just trying to hold on to 2nd as best as possible. I knew I wasn't going to catch up back to 1st, like 5 seconds, so I was just trying to look after the tyres, keep Aidan behind for as long as possible, and yeah.
Well, congratulations there. 2nd place in this 2nd race of the evening, and all the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you, cheers.
From Matt Caruana to our last season's AM champion and first-time podium sitter here, Aidan Walsingham. Aidan, I mean, my goodness, what a start to your season right there.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm very, very happy with that. Partially helped by the reverse grid, but yeah, really happy for the first couple of rounds in pro.
And the thing is, it's not like that you just sat in 8th place during the first race. You had to move forward from 11th on the grid, so you've had to make that progress forward. And just tell us, defending against somebody like Charlie Collins, who's got all that experience in the Super Cup, of being at that level of esports, just how is it for yourself making that jump from AM to pro, suddenly finding somebody of that caliber behind you?
It's pretty intimidating, because in AM last season, the moves were much more like clear cut. Like, you'd have much bigger mistakes, and it's much easier to capitalize, and it's not so like borderline. But a small error in pro is you're getting dive bombed. Someone is coming past you, and you better be ready for it. So it's just getting used to that, and the sensitivity of the car, the ABS, and not messing it up when defending mid corner. You know, carrying a bit too much brake, losing the inside tire, and going off into the gravel. So, but it's hard work, but it's pressure that I've experienced in other simulators. So, just largely getting used to the car under that kind of pressure and not having ABS.
Well, congratulations there, though. Podium on your first attempt in Pro. Go away and celebrate that one.
Thanks very much.
And then we're going to very quickly get to speak to Christian Zaruta, who joins us now. I think it's fair to say, difficult first race for you, wasn't it? That incident up at Coppice put paid to any hopes in race 1, but then race 2, what a charge you've had through the field. 7 places gained.
Yeah, we won't talk about race 1. We'll ignore race 1. But yeah, absolutely mega start. First lap, I think I was, second from last at the start, and then just read where everything was going on. Just a bit of luck, bit of reading where the things were unfolding in front of me, and I just found myself in second. I was like, okay. And then Tom drove a really solid race. It's very hard to pass around here and follow closely for a whole lap, and he was really strong through the last corner, which meant it was quite hard to get myself in a position to overtake. I got close to him a few times, but I was never really close enough to go for a move. So great drive from him and great drive from guy behind. But yeah, the second race was much more enjoyable, shall we say.
And just looking here then, moving forward, are you looking at the AM Championship and thinking, right, I've shown that I can work my way through a field and I've shown I've got some pace in AM. Are you focusing on that, or is it just taking it a race at a time?
No, just race. I mean, Donington's probably my least favourite track, which I think some people will say is sacrilege. But I was a bit worried after the qualifying today. I didn't have the best qualifying. I was a bit further back than I'm used to being in down here. But as the race went on, it kind of felt like I had the pace to be running at the front at least. So one race at a time. We had a good season last season, so we want to go 1 or 2 better this season. But it's the first round, so there's no point.
Well, take it away, though. Second place in AM, not a bad way to finish the evening. Congratulations, Christian Zaruta.
Cheers, chaps.
So there we go, David. I will say, for me, result of today is actually Aidan Walsingham being able to come from AM and an AM Championship to get your first podium in the first meeting. That's a great achievement, in my opinion.
And as you made the point, he didn't luck into it. I mean, he was there on pace, he was there on merit, and was able to fend off people that have been racing at the front of these grids for a lot longer. So I think with his pace, with Matt Caruana, with Leo Gariboli, with what Will Chadwick proved he could do in race 1, as we were suggesting at the start of the evening, we are in for a good season, aren't we?
We certainly are, and the level just keeps on increasing and increasing, and they've not got too long to wait until the next round either, do they, David?
That's right. 2 weeks' time, we will be at Snetterton, because the next stop is going to be the Norfolk Circuit. Similar concept. It's going to be a Wednesday evening. We are going to be live from 8 o'clock UK time, and we'll see whether Sebastian Job can fight back. We've come up with all sorts of random stats over the course of the evening, but one that we haven't yet pondered is the last time he didn't win either race. Sebastian Job normally comes away with at least 1, if not the double. But it's been a tough day at the office for Sebastian Job. A good start, though, to the season for Tom Stevens, with 2 out of 2 in AM, and Will Chadwick taking honours in Pro in race 1, and he leads the championship. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. From Paul Smith and David Addison, it's goodbye for now.